Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You can get a job in the Middle East simply by trying or by magic, through others or by fluke. Remember that competition is everywhere. Some here, some there, but bam! Loy Machedo is the best.
All right, Loy Machedo here, personal branding strategist. If you're new to my channel, I help people get well-paying jobs in Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. And people also book my services for coaching, consulting, when they have a personal or professional problem or challenge, and they want a very unique uh, opinion or point of view. Details are put down below. Okay, now I've been in the coaching consulting business, or the business of giving advice, for I think from the age of 30, 30. So I'm 46. And I did not just jump into it. Um, Obviously, I first sought advice from people. And I think one of the key reasons why I was constantly searching for advice is because my stepfather was an incredibly horrible human being, terrible, one of the worst. My mother was in her own little bubble, so I never had anyone to guide me. The only people who were there to guide me were either, the teachers of my school, who had only gloom and doom predicted for me. And later on, obviously, when I evaluated, um, you know, these are people who are earning less than the average income, and they're not qualified to give advice on life. They're just like a history teacher who knows only history. I mean, what can she teach you about building a business or traveling the world when they have not traveled? No disrespect to teachers, but this is one of the realities. So then I had the church, Catholic Church. Obviously, the priest is going to say, pray to Jesus. Okay. Jesus gives you all the answers, which didn't, didn't actually work out for me. But then, given the fact that I was very much an extrovert, I was very talkative, I was very hyper, I would ask, outside the realm of school and the church, and I would ask literally everyone, anyone who was an adult. I felt, why don't you just ask them for advice? So obviously, I got lots of advice, and the majority of it was a personal opinion. Okay. Now, it was not, they were not bad people. They didn't have bad intentions. But even if you have good intentions, you can give bad advice. And that is one thing which I always tell people. Your mother, father, brother, sister, your religious priest, whatever, they all have good intentions for you, but they may not be the right person to give you advice. Okay. So then I got into reading self-improvement books because, this is pre-internet days. And there I got some unique pieces of advice. And most of these in the 80s were motivational books. Achieve the impossible, dare to dream, whatever you visualize, you achieve. So here was hyper positive, you can do anything advice, which was also not right. It was well intentioned, but not helpful. And it was not specific to me. So obviously, once the internet opened, once opportunities were there, then I, college and tried to do it, didn't work out, and first job. And then you meet people working in the corporate industry, and there they have a unique piece of opinion. And, those of opportunities opened up where I started to get very unique perspectives. Okay. And here, where people who have traveled the world, so obviously they know a little bit more. There are people who were just above my pay grade, much more higher than my parents, much more higher than. So obviously they knew a bit more. Then there were people who studied abroad and lived abroad and married foreign nationals. So they had unique perspectives. So, like this, you know, uh, the quality of advice improved. But then finally, it came down to very specific needs that I had. It was not just about what career to choose or which exercise to do for bodybuilding. It became about career, it became about earning money, it became about life. So, very serious questions. And that is where I started to go to coaches, professional coaches who did this for a living. Sadly, there are quite a number of people who are not qualified to give advice. And by qualification, I do not mean just academic education or certificates. These people just are dumb fucks here. I mean, they don't even have common sense. When I look back at some of them, they might have a master's degree or a PhD or gone to Tony Robbins and spend $100,000 and still they'll give you crap. Utter nonsense. But then again, what did I know? And I'll tell you this, I really spent serious money, serious amount of money. I've told you this before. If I calculate the amount of money that I spend into learning, coaching, or coaches, or books, CDs, DVDs, and MP3s, and whatever, it has crossed $1 million. $1 million, which is not a joke. Many times I've literally told people, and people have told me, man, you could have built a luxurious house with a plot of land and retired. And I agree, but I guess this is who I am. So, but like this, if you really search, you will find. Like there's that biblical saying, seek and you shall find. I did not stop. Even after, just imagine, I paid a guy, I think close to 20,000 US dollars, 20,000 US dollars cash for coaching, guidance, training, only to realize after I paid him, after a couple of months, this whole thing was a farce. He was a good hearted guy, well intentioned, business minded, but he wasted my money. He wasted my time, my money, and that also I had borrowed money to go to him. So now, after all these years of soul searching, of trying to discover who I am and all that, and after jumping into the same requirement, the requirement I had, which was not fulfilled so very easily, but then eventually got fulfilled, I decided, I guess there is a requirement in this industry. I'll get it. And I started coaching, consulting, or giving advice. First was um, public speaking, because that was something I did. So, what I did, I was able to give better advice. But then there were other realms of life. Life is many things. There was religion and, atheism. I I was studying that and I was asking people. Obviously, religious people will give you why religion is true, but someone who's of a different religion will say why their religion is true. So there I realized there is something called a bias. There is something called, um, you know, uh, cognitive dissonance, where even if they know for a fact that what you're saying is true, they'll dismiss it. They will only cherry pick the parts of the evidence that suits them. So there also you have to be careful. Like you speak to a guy who's a Muslim, he'll give you all the examples why Islam is real. You speak to a Christian, he'll tell you all the examples why Christianity is real. You speak to a Hindu, all the reasons why Hinduism is real, and each god, according to their religion, is real, but the other god is fake. So then I was like, oh, I need to be careful here because people can be very biased. Um, they will give you advice what they feel is right. So there was another challenge. So, okay. So from public speaking, then I could give advice a little bit on health because I experimented with myself and I used myself as a guinea pig. So bodybuilding, steroids, and then obviously, 3 divorces. So, I made mistakes in marriage and relationships. So because there were ups and downs. And remember this, when you're taking advice, don't take advice from someone who has had a perfect life, who has not had a single issue or problem. Like, for example, if you're going to take advice about marriage, if you have a couple whose life is so perfect that they never experienced divorce, how would he give you advice on the challenges that life has to face? Like a person who has had divorce and marriage and eventually found the right one, he has much more perspective and depth of failure and success. It's like you meet someone who has had a business and is just doing very well, billions and millions, and never had a loss. But if you speak to someone who has had success and failure, success and failure, success and failure, he'll tell you what to do and what not to do. But at the same time, if you just take advice from someone who has a failed business, he can't give you advice on success. So you have to use common sense. Now, what I've realized over the period of time, over all these years, you need to be very careful who you take advice from. Seriously. Like, for example, parents. We all take, when we are young, we take advice from parents. Now, is your parent qualified to give you advice? Yes or no? Now, it's a very sensitive and delicate topic here. Like, for example, I'll give you one case where the parent was right and one case where the parent was wrong. A very simple example. This particular parent was a doctor, a PhD, both him and the wife. And he had booked my services. And remember, this is, sorry, not remember, whether you'll believe it or not, these two graduated and studied from an Ivy League. They were staying abroad. And they booked my services. And I was like shocked. Why would you, as graduate from an Ivy League and you're staying in the West? And they had 2 daughters. And the problem was both of them were thinking of giving up the line of medical work and research, because the parents were very rich and well off and they wanted them to be doctors. They were going to quit all this and get into social media, and they wanted to be influencers and video this thing and online coaches, and the father and mother were very disturbed. And because they had a very open relationship, they didn't want to bully them or force them. They didn't, but at the same time, they loved them enough where they didn't want their lives to be destroyed. And this was during the Quora days. So they contacted me and said, what is your perspective? I said, your daughters are making a very big mistake. And they asked me why. And after they had booked my session to speak to me, then they said, we would like to book another session where we would like you to speak to our daughters, please. I said, I'm honored with the trust and I'll do my best. And I was very honest, very candid. I spoke to both of them, video. They found me a little repulsive. They were like, who's a tattooed freak and all that, because they had never seen me. The parents, because they were doing research, they knew, and they saw many of my videos. They knew who I was. But initially, it took a little bit of warm up. And finally, the daughters slowly found, okay, this guy is not a mental retard. And they were shocked as to their parents, who are so formal, took my services. And then it went on for one session to another, to 3, 4. And finally, I think after 6 or 7 sessions, the parents were happy. And they said, let's hope now for the best. Well, good news, after I think another period of 6 months or so, they decided to quit that dream. And they moved ahead with their being a doctor. And, it seems that the last I spoke to them, they were very happy. It was like a temporary passing phase. So here the parents were right in guiding the children. But I'll tell you where the parents are wrong. This particular guy, he was Punjabi. And his mother and father wanted him to marry. They have their cousins and they have their this. So they wanted him to marry this female who is based abroad. He was educated, but he was staying in India. And this female was from Punjab, but she was in the West. And they wanted them to get married and stay there. And he booked my service. The parents didn't book my service. He booked. And he asked me, is this a good idea or not? And because, he was following my videos, I said, it's going to be a disaster. And he asked me why. And I told him, one is she's earning more than you. She's more successful than you. She has been abroad than you have. So she'll always be the male, like she'll always take the controlling male dominated this thing. And she'll always look down on you because you have always been in India and you have Indian roots. You don't want to be the man of the house. So overall, and she's very modern, and I saw a photograph and she was very outgoing. I said, it's not going to work, man. And the entire family admired her more than this guy. But then again, there's only so much you can do. I give my opinion, but finally he got married. And the marriage lasted, I think, less than 4 months or 6 months. And they had a terrible divorce. Terrible divorce. It became so bad that just imagine he went all the way to the West and then she didn't want him there and she made sure that he was kicked out because she said, I'll make it a police case if he's here. And he left and came back to India. And it was very embarrassing for him as a man, very embarrassing. We had a couple of more sessions where we had to really work through the depression. He went through a lot. So, in one case, the parents were right. Another case, the parents were wrong. So, there are many other avenues. It can be career, it can be marriage, it can be education. There are cases where I know where the youngster is forced to take science, engineering, or the medical field, even though the student doesn't want, really doesn't want, it doesn't have the caliber to study and all that. There it proves to be a disaster. Then you have, where the parent would literally tell you, let's say, I'll give you an example to be clear. This young man had the opportunity to work in Dubai. And the parents held this guy back. And I told him, see, listen, man, the career path you're choosing, Dubai is much better. Here, it'll be very limited. If you're going, go now. He was more into sales. Okay. And a college fresher in India will earn limited. But in Dubai, you learn much more. Dubai would be harder, but he would earn more money. He didn't listen. Well, him and his friends, 2-3 of his friends took my coaching. Both his friends went. Parents didn't allow him to go. And parents were glad that they came to know about me, and parents were very pissed off with me. They said, he is stupid, he's a freak, he's a this, he's a that. Well, because I'm in the coaching business for so many years, now, today, how many years? It has been like 6 years, 7 years. His friends are earning, I think, close to 12 times, 1 to 12 times more. 10, more than 10 at least. More than 10, less than 12. Yeah, because now, after they made money, they took a risk and invested, and they both were friends. So they invested into business and it got lucky, and they made money there, and they dabbled. There was ups and downs. It's not everything was a success. And then they got a well-paying job. Well, he is still in India. He's still struggling. He has changes his job once or twice. But it's not that easy to start a business in India compared to Dubai. And obviously the currency exchange. And he really regrets it. He really regrets, but now he cannot change because he's even married and he has kids, so he can't take a jump. See, so what am I trying to say? Am I trying to say that, yeah, every piece of coaching guidance, take a professional? Here, I'll give you a little food for thought. If you're sick, let's say, for example, your child is sick, coughing. Obviously, most of us will go to Google and search and, okay, for cough, what is it? Or we'll go to a pharmacist and say, do you have a cough syrup or fever? Simple things. We don't need a professional. We don't need even a doctor. We don't even need a pharmacist. Google. And then there are relatives. Oh, she's having uh, pain here, and what to do, what to eat, what medicine to make. Fine. Then you have, let's say, for example, groups. We have Facebook groups. We have WhatsApp groups. Like, for example, there are so many people who want to come to Thailand. They will ask, hey, hi, members, I'm new. I would like to work in Thailand. I'm coming for a holiday. It's not allowed. You need to have a particular visa in order to work. You need a work permit. But they think they can come here as a tourist and they can work. So they ask. And people give them advice, but it's not always in a very nice way. Some of them make fun of them, mock them, humiliate them. Oh, here's another jackass asking illegal questions. We should report him. So, yeah, okay, fine. So, there are Facebook groups. Some will give you good advice, some will make fun of you. In WhatsApp groups, my WhatsApp groups, for example, I've had questions about career, love, sex, uh, education, degree, investment, cryptocurrency. I have different groups I've created for various, like now there is an investment group, a cryptocurrency group, Forex. So they exchange ideas. Okay. And I tell them, see, listen, you're responsible for your decisions. Don't say, oh, I took his opinion, I invested money, I lost. No, that's your fault. Okay. And then obviously, let's say, for example, there's a bodybuilding group, a steroid group, where they talk about steroids. Now, people like me have experimented with their own body for very many years. But there are others who have just tried maybe 1 or 2 months. So they'll give the experience. Now, even though I have experience, I still don't give them advice because I've not been hardcore into it. I have experience of what works, doesn't work. And I always discourage them because I know long term it's bad. But I do tell them that if you still want, there's a lot of research material and there are experts online where you can read and research. But if you really want the maximum results, please consult a professional. Don't talk to WhatsApp groups for people you never met. Maybe he's a student and maybe he's looking at a YouTube video or just Google search and he's farting out of his ass as if he's an expert. Maybe he's not. So go to a professional bodybuilder. Okay, someone who does that for a living. But there also be careful that there are some people who use cheap products and they will give you cheap products because they can make a bigger margin. And this is what happened to me. I went to Egyptian coaches and Syrian coaches and in UAE, Dubai those days. And they would not give me the original stuff. They would give me slightly duplicate stuff. And because they didn't care. But when I went to someone who really cared about me, who charged a premium, but he was genuine, he told me, boss, this what you're taking is dangerous. It has more drawbacks than plus points. I would suggest this. And then also keep in mind that the amount you spend may determine the quality of the advice you get. Like, for example, I am a personal branding strategist. I do resume rebrand. I do interview coaching. If you check my pricing, I would say I'm not cheap. $237 per hour just for consulting. It's not cheap. My resume rebrand charges are, for some people, it is their income for one full month. There is this very famous little criticism I got. Loy, either I can take a coaching or I can buy an iPhone. It's true. And then there are people who tell me, Loy, the coaching that you're giving, I can get even for free online. Resume rebrand, you can get free templates, free resumes, free like 5,000 resume templates. Some people tell me, Loy, I don't need to take advice, man. Chat GPT, open AI. I just type, finish everything. I encourage them, go ahead and take it. You must. I want you to explain. And I don't say this with sarcasm or hatred or having a superiority. No, experiment and see if it works. If you can achieve your goal, buy something that's available for free. Bravo. In fact, don't just try Chat GPT or internet downloading templates. Go ask contacts and connections. Maybe without a CV, they will help you. Because I tell them, me, without a CV, without a resume, I still managed to get contracts because I had the gift of the gab. I knew how to network. I had contacts and connections, and I made contacts and connections. So if you can get that way, that's great. Or go to your boss, go to your boss's boss, go to your CEO, go to a businessman. They will give you practical advice, which no website can give you. So maybe you don't need a resume. And then if all that is not available, go to an HR guy, maybe a qualified premium HR guy who's a friend. Maybe he'll give you some free tips. Maybe he'll give you a template. So you try all this stuff. And then if still it doesn't work, then try $5 service. Does it work? $10 service. Does it work? 20, 30, 50, 100. Okay, fine. Try individual. Try a company. Try local. Try international. If after all this still you don't achieve, then you can come to me and then you will respect me much more, because then you'll be like, this guy is credible. And you will value me much more. There are some other people who say, Loy, I'm not ready to take so much time and so much risk. But I've gone through your videos. You're a very practical guy. I've seen your videos for a couple of months. And given that you give so much of content, I believe you. I'm ready to take a risk. And remember, it's always a risk. And thankfully, I've been able to deliver the goods. Now, I always give a disclaimer. I cannot predict the result. Just because you took my service doesn't mean happily ever after. Let's say I give you advice on marriage. That doesn't mean you'll never have any problems. Let's say I give you coaching advice on the goal is to get double the salary or 10 times the salary. This actually happens. This is not fake. Someone from Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, some of the poor places, they get 10 to 15 times, even 20 times the salary abroad. It doesn't happen within 24 hours, 1 week. It happens over a period of time. I've achieved, we as a team, me and that person, we have achieved it. A lot of hard work, a lot of effort. But that doesn't mean every single person that comes to me, oh, you'll get 20 times the salary. Just as not everyone who graduates from college with a master's degree is going to be the regional director or CEO. In the same way, results vary. The only guarantee I give people is the service that you will get will be, to the best of my knowledge, will be for the best for you. And I can assure you, nobody can do a better job. Very rarely, because I've given my life, I've been obsessed about my craft. So when you take advice from someone, make sure that that person has been there for many years, has experience, has know-how, has skin in the game, and has experience. Don't go to someone who is just, someone who is graduated from college and I'll help you gain 7-figure income. I'll give you advice on life. I have this 18-year-old, 20-year-olds who, I have the years, I have the quality, sorry, let me give you this properly. Just because I'm 20 years old doesn't mean I have only 20 years of experience. I have the quality of life where I've seen so many mistakes. I can give you advice of a 40-year-old. Oh, what bullshit here. Experience does matter. You can't talk about marriage. It's like going to a priest who's going to give you advice about marriage, keeping a woman happy and having children. What is he going to say? Follow the footsteps of God. How Jesus treats his flock, treat your wife the same way. Shut up, man. So understand who you're going to for advice. And do they actually qualify? So in a nutshell, if I were to give you, number one is, remember, just because someone has good intention doesn't mean they can give you good advice. That's one. Number two is, do your due diligence when finding out who you're taking advice from. Do they have content that you can refer to? And don't just go just blindly for recommendations, because people manipulate and get paid recommendations, fake recommendations. Then, and don't go for just a shiny object just because this guy like has a perfect life or a perfect business. He can give you, no, you're different. Your life is different from theirs. Be careful of people who flaunt their Ferrari or their expensive car or their house and show you cash. And social media bragging is not evidence of success. And last but not the least, if you're going to someone, make sure that they have your best interest in their heart and mind. Remember, just because someone is a sweet talker doesn't mean he's your friend. And just because someone criticizes you doesn't mean he's your enemy. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys in terms of taking advice. Be careful, because end of the day, remember, I tell people, see, listen, I can give you advice, but you have to make the decision, because end of the day, you will pay the price. You, nobody else. And last but not the least, if I were to conclude, I would say, like they say, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And if you don't take risks or try something new, you'll never get new result or a new experience. So please, if you want to change your life, don't just Google search for free advice. Free is not good. And what you pay is what you get. You go to a Michelin star 5-star restaurant, there's a premium. You go to a street, there is food. One is, the taste is not bad. It'll fill your stomach. It's not that it'll not fill your stomach. But then if you want an experience, then you need to pay money. For me, the clients that I have a target market, and I focus on that. I'm not meant to be popular for everyone, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and every poor person and charity. And I prefer people who have money, because I made it very clear, for me at least, and this is the final bit. Instead of having, 10,000 clients who pay $1, I prefer to have one client who pays me $10,000. So instead of having 10,000 people who give me 10,000 pieces of headache, one guy. And I've always realized this. The person who pays you more money gives you less headache. Person who bargains with you and who is more on the cheaper side gives you more headache. And that is why my group knows this. There are some people who, just by reading their email itself, there was this guy, he sent me, final example. He sent me, Loy, your service is so expensive, man. I've been watching your videos, but your service is so expensive. I can buy, like I told you, iPhone instead of this. And you are making videos so long, and your coaching is just 1 hour. What will you know about me in 1 hour? What will you know about me in 90 minutes? What guarantee you'll give me in life? What if I give you the money? What if you run away with it? What if you don't deliver? Immediately, I could realize it's not insecurity. This guy is a headache customer. It's a headache. So even if he paid me, I'd get so much headache. It's not worth it. And I told him very politely, I said, I appreciate that you have been following my content so many years, but you are not my client. I regret to inform you, I prefer not having you as my client. Find somebody else. Find somebody else whom you will be sure about. He was shocked. And my WhatsApp group members also know. A lot of people I reject. You might have money. That doesn't mean you're qualified to be my client. You need to have the right attitude. And that is where the changes you see in my life from what is only because I chose quality mentors, quality ones. And I'm lucky that they came for free. They were very accomplished, very successful, and obviously they were not in the coaching business. So this transformation is because of them. And the ones I did pay for, yes, there were some really bad choices, very, very bad. Like I told you, $20,000. But the ones who are really good made such an incredible difference in my life. Like, that video where I spoke about 6 years, I tried to improve my running. And I spent more money than I would spend on a professional coach, and I realized no benefit. But the day I chose an Olympic coach, in 6 months, I achieved what I couldn't do in 6 years. And the results I got were the best right from childhood. That means how fast I could run at the age of 20. I ran faster at the age of nearly 40. That also with all the injuries and health issues and everything else, I ran fast. So imagine if I'd got professional coaching, where would I be? Anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. Good, bad, ugly. Feel free. Put your thoughts down below. I love to read your comments. This is me signing off. You guys take care.